Good afternoon. My name is Alexis Granado. I'm actually looking to do symbolic interaction theory. I thought this was something I could relate to the most. It was the most interesting one I got to experience in class, and the most interesting one that I really related to the most. So I took this as the understanding of society through symbols, meanings, and more, of course. There goes a lot into symbolic interaction. It is a big part of everybody's life, especially mine. I do have a lot of family members that do have different disabilities that actually do have to do with symbolic interactions, and in my own personal life that is affected by symbolic interactions. So what I would do is I will go into through this video just explaining more or less what it is, why it's important, and why it's so big in our world, and why it contributes so much to society. First, of course, what is symbolic interaction theory? A sociological perspective that focuses on how individuals create and interpret meaning through social interactions. It does focus on how people use symbols as language, gestures, and objects to communicate and build relationships. Society is not a fixed structure, but a continuously shaped and reshaped throughout these interactions. For example, this theory emphasizes that meaning is not inherent in objects or actions, but is socially constructed through interaction. A big example that I realized was a thumbs up gesture. So what I found in my research is that in some cultures, it could mean good job, while in others, and could be considered offensive. For example, in the Middle East or in South Asia, it is referred to as the middle finger. The meaning depends on context and the shared understanding of people interacting. So the key question is, how do people create shared meanings that allow them to interact effectively in society? Well, it's built on depending how society wants to look at it. Again, depending on where you're at. Because again, you don't want to do something that could be offensive in other cultures. So just be careful how you use things like a thumbs up in different places, because you never know. Now, here are some key principles. People use symbols such as words, gestures, and images to communicate and make sense of the world. Symbols are building blocks of understanding in human interactions. An example that I realized was red rose symbolizes love or romance. A wedding ring represents commitment and marriage. The word freedom evokes different emotions or meanings depending on the context and individual experiences. You just never know. Why it's important? Well, without shared understanding of symbols, effective communication would not be possible. Again, going back to my family, my cousin is deaf. Different symbols that you use with your hand are going to be the way she communicates. That's just the world she lives in, and symbols to her are everything. So meanings don't exist inherently in symbols. They are created and agreed upon social interactions. The same symbol can have different meanings, again, in different cultures or in different situations. A few examples that I found of symbolic interactions were handshakes, something simple as a symbol of greeting and agreement, or a handshake can also mean a signal of completion of a business deal. Another example that's universal is traffic lights, as the colors red, yellow, and green are universally stood for signals for stopping, caution, and going, and drivers follow these signals. Another example that's cross-cultural is a symbolic interaction being in Japan. Bowing is a respectful gesture, while in Western cultures, it's more of a handshake that's more common. In conclusion, my symbolic interaction theory does show how people build societies through shared meanings. It does highlight the importance of communication and interpretation in shaping human behavior. My final thoughts on this was society exists in shared understanding of its members. Because without a society, there is no universal communication. Without society, agreeing upon a social interaction and how they want to interpret certain things, just depending on who agrees on what.